Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Rubbing Minds this Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. right on time. And of course, you know how we do it right here. My name is Oscar Onyiso, standing in for Ebuka, who is unavoidably absent. But the news doesn't change. We're still going to give you that very loaded newsreel, and loaded in the sense that we have three very interesting guests on the show this afternoon. He started off a fantastic concept way back when that just caught fire. A lot of people took to it, talking about pictures, magazines. In fact, it got an ovation of an applause. Of course, we have the one and only Mr. Chief Dele Momodu in the building with us. But we're going to be talking more of his activist side than the ovation side. We have some very interesting questions for him. We also have another phenomenal artist also on standby. He's gotten a lot of rave reviews, especially online. He's quite controversial. His means, his ways, his lyrics, his demeanor is quite unique. You get to meet this particular celebrity who has become an overnight sensation over the last couple of years. He goes by the name Vic O, and for those who know him, you know him. And for those who don't, well, stick around and you find out more about him. And of course, we have yet another guest in the studio. I'd like to keep this in the pipelines for now, but she's an absolute phenomenal. She is a broadcaster. She is a mother. She is someone who has spent her whole life trying to empower women in her own little way. We'll have Titi Onyison also here in the studio with us. No relation. On the news roundup, we have some news items that have made rounds. Top on the list on whyniger.com is, of course, the lecturer and the 18-year-old. We know about the part-time lecturer Hafiz Barua, who has been arrested. Very unsavory news, very gruesome stuff. We'll talk more about that as well. We also heard about Atiku's daughter being nominated for commissioner in Adamawa. Nothing wrong with that, but as always, it is newsworthy, and want to see how that came about. Other news also have the mass failure of the Nigerian law school, where we had a major failure rate. One of the major headlines this week as well. A lot of things happened during the week. We can't really capture every single one of them, but we'll be able to touch on as much as possible on the show this afternoon. We have a very formidable guest in the studio. He looks at me like, who am I talking about? It's very you, sir. Chief Dele Momodu. I don't know why the Mr. keeps coming up. Emma Binusa. Okay. I'm so sorry, sir.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Chief Dele Momodu, of course, need no introduction. You are, of course, the publisher of Ovation magazine. But we've been hearing more about Chief Dele Momodu than even Ovation magazine in the last couple of years, especially the build-up to the elections. First of all, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing very great. Thank you for inviting me.
Great to have you on Rubbing Minds. I don't know if 1 hour is enough, but we'll see if we can grab as many points as possible. First thing is first. Before the election of our current president, President Buhari, we had a lot of people talking. We had a lot of new voices being added to the discourse, especially in the political landscape. And yours was definitely one of them. You were very vocal about your support for him. You were very pro-Buhari, you're very pro-change. Let me put it that way. Has everything so far met up to your expectations with the current government, based on your articles in Pendulum, your tweets, your broadcasts? You were very active on social media. Has everything lived up to your expectations so far?
Yeah, I would say so far so good. But it's money yet on creation day, if I could put it that way. It's just the beginning. The government came into office barely 2 months ago. And don't forget that a lot of things were really bad. I know Nigerians are expecting so much, especially from this government. But then we have to be a bit patient. We cannot have as much information at our disposal as the man who is on the hot seat. I've had the privilege of sitting with him. I believe I was reasonably convinced that he knows what he's doing.
Was this after the letter to Mr. President?
Yes, I wrote I wrote a memo.
The very short letter.
Which I called a desperate memo to President Buhari, and he responded positively by trying to reach out to me to find out my views, what I think is going on out there. Because once you are in that office, it's always difficult for you to be in tune with reality. A lot of people come there assuming they know what you want to hear, and that's what they tell you. So from time to time, you need someone who can look at you straight in the eye and say, sir, no, things are not going right.
You hadn't met with him before he became president? I'm sure you had one or two.
Oh, I'd met with him in
times.
2011. I also met with him in London the day he spoke at Chatham House. So on those 3 occasions, yes, we've met now.
Now, taking a cue from the meeting you had, what was the one thing you could take away from that meeting? Now, being the president of Nigeria, there are a lot of voices, especially with the past dispensation. There's been a lot of argument as to the true advice or the true picture of things getting to the president. When you were with him, what was the one thing you could take away from the meeting?
It's what we've always known about President Buhari. Sincerity. Sincerity of purpose. Is a man who will not lie to you because he wants to gain favor. He doesn't care what you think. As long as he knows what he's doing, he's very focused. And I think that is one key ingredient of a good leader. You have to be focused. And as a leader, you have to lead. Of course, in the marketplace, there will be plenty of noise. But then you must face who you are dealing with. And I know he's dealing with a lot of issues. We spoke about a few of them. And
can you touch on just one or two?
I mean, people talk really about security. I know that he's very, very passionate about the issue of security. He's very passionate about the issue of power. Because if you have power, then our industries can grow. You know. And of course, the youth and unemployment, and of course, corruption. He's very much opposed to it. And you can see the way he's been trying to clean this very filthy stable. It's very filthy. It's been there for long, and it will take a while, but you can see that you started doing something.
Let me take a cue from the issue of corruption. Some are of the opinion, or some corridors of opinion leaders are of the opinion that the corruption fight has to be very surgical. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had some appointments in key areas where the people are qualified, yes, quite all right. But there's now a drop in the ministerial list, for example. Apparently some of the criteria set has made some of these ministers who want to vie for the position to just basically bail out. I want to tie the issue of the corruption and the issue of the ministers in this next question, where the process of vetting some of these ministers has become very stringent. A lot of them have, I think it was last week or so, in the headlines where some of them have dropped from the race to be ministers due to very stringent conditions set out. And we still don't have the ministers yet. Do you think Mr. President is taking too long on the issue of appointment?
Let me say 2 things. I think there are loads of rumors about who will be minister or not. But from my interaction with those who should know, don't believe the rumors. People are just coming up with names of people they think should be on that list. That is one. The other is that he has to take his time. Yes, I believe things should be done very quickly, especially now you can appoint your special advisors, your chief of staff, and all those. But ministerial, don't forget that a lot of input comes into it. There will be governors who might be interested in one person or the other. They have to do research. The security people have to do their screening.
Background check, yes.
So, but I am not sure if some people have dropped out because I'm not aware that anyone has been appointed yet or any list has come out from the presidency. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's still all rumors. But my advice to government, before and after, is that you will never find saints if you're looking for them. But you have to look for good people, accomplished men and women, and we have so many of them. For example, I told him, I believe that women are very good managers. We must involve women in the day-to-day running of Nigeria. A woman is not going to marry 2, 3 husbands at once, so her needs are limited. But a man can marry 4 wives, have 10 concubines, and the president was laughing when I told him that. I also believe that intellectuals all over the world are involved in governance. Under Buhari himself, it was under Buhari that we had the Professor Tam David West, for example. Under Babangida, we had the Bolaji Akinyemis and the rest of them. We must involve them because they will be the think tank for government. You need thinkers, not just people who come in as politicians. I know that politicians by now will be jostling for one appointment or the other, but the ministerial list, the cabinet in particular, requires some intellectual input.